Hi and welcome to my channel Weapon Dojo Online, and this is my first review. The review is about a sword. Well, I know, yes, again, a sword, but I thought like, I'm still making a review about this sword. It's also that the seller asked me to make a review about it with this sword, because he wants to know what I think about it, how it functions, and how it is, how it handles, and so on. The seller, the name of the seller is Alan. Alan, thank you for the sword, and as promised, here's the review that I promised to you. Alan is the sword maker, and he has a store called Alan's Blades, and you can find him on Facebook. If you look at the description down there, you can find his name and his Facebook account, and he has some pictures on online, and then you can see what kind of swords he makes. And most of all, the sword that he makes is from, yes, a very famous ninja actor called Shokosuke. The style, ninja style sword from Shokosuke, a replica. He makes them, customizes them, and he sells them. So if you are looking for a particular kind of ninja sword and you're a big fan of Shokosuke like I am, you go to him because he has them. This sword, which I make a review about, I give you I'm gonna tell you one thing about it. This particular ninja sword, yes, it's a ninja sword, is customized for me and for me only. So it's a very unique sword, very authentic, and only myself and my students can order this style sword in a curved and straight version, and anybody outside of that cannot order it. Also, if you say to Alan like that you're a student from me, he will confirm or he will ask me to confirm if it is true, and if I say no, you cannot order it. So don't try, because there's a copyright on it, and you cannot order the same style of sword. Okay, I'm gonna review right now. Ta-da! Here it is. This is the sword, and yes, I say sword and not swords, because what you see there, that's okay. Well, it's a wooden sword in it, but that I did not buy from Alan. I have it there because of the bag, because I also have a little thing about the bag that I want to tell, but I have it in there so that to show some things. But the top, that one, that's my sword, and that's what a review is going to be about. But first of all, I'm going to talk about the bag. The bag is very nice. It looks nice. It has dragons on it, and I'm a very, very big fan of dragons. I love dragons. And yeah, there's a good looking sword bag. But there's only one thing which I find a little bit unfortunate, is that if you look at here on this section, you can actually see that there is the tsuka from the bokken. Why I say it's a little bit sad, if you actually look at it, the sword bag is a little bit too small for the tsuka. And it's very small for that sword. Why? Because the tsuka what's on there is 4x4, and the tsuka what is inside here is about 1.5 inches smaller. Pretty weird, huh? So it is a very nice sword bag, but the bag is a little bit too small. The tsuka what is in here is square, and you can actually see it's just way too tight. I can imagine that on standard tsuba will fit perfectly, like tsubas like let me see, tsubas like these, or an mocha style like tsuba. Although, well, no, I think this one is a bit too big as well, but the round one will do easy. So yeah, that's a little bit unfortunate that that's a little bit small. What I also like about this bag is normally you have this cloth or cone-like strings to bind the sword bag to close it. This one has actually a very nice decorative rope as bindings. And what I like as well is that it has tassels actually on it, but for some reason when I received it and I took the sword out, the second tassel fell off. It didn't stay there very well, so I guess that's just glued there. I don't know what it is. It looks like glue, or they burn it on there. I don't know, but I think a good tug on this or a good pull, I think it will pull this off as well. But further, it's a nice sword bag, and for standard size ninja toe or wakizashi can fit in here, as long as it also has a standard looking mokko or round tsuba and not too big, because if the tsuba is too big it won't fit, because with this I already have a problem. Somewhere inside there's also a rip, a small rip, because when I took that sword out, you could actually see that the tsuba is way too big for this small sword bag. But hey, I bought a sword and not a sword bag, so the sword bag just comes with it and covers the sword just out of protection. I still gonna use it, but I think I'm gonna use it for the other ninja or shinobi katanas, and not for this one because it's too small for that. So I put this aside, and then we're going to talk about the ninja toe. So the ninja toe, as you can see, it's a very unique looking ninja toe. It's a ninja toe that you won't see that fast. Maybe you do or do not see it, I don't know, but this ninja toe is also not straight. Although it may look straight the way it lays on there, but it is actually curved. When I turn it like this, you do see a curvature in the blade or in the saya. So what I'm going to talk about is first is the tsuka. The tsuka, well, just to say it that way, the ninja sword is actually a mix between a traditional and 21st century sword. So I'm gonna say that say right now, so there's no mix up with the actual tradition and traditional swords, because I wanted a sword that looks like that. Because that's per request. First of all, the tsuka, what you can see here, the wrapping is in a traditional way called katatamaki, or as some of you know as battle wrap. Here it is. It is very nice, very tightly wrapped. I am training with this already for I think about 2 months or so, and the wrapping didn't shift or didn't came loose and such, so it's really tightly wrapped. The ito is from Japanese cotton, so it's not just cheap knockoff Chinese crap. Sorry, sword makers out there in China, but it's just the truth. And the seme or ray skin is also genuine. It's real. It's not fake. So there's a real ray skin under the Ito. The mikugi, the pegs here, are traditional bamboo. So not on other kind of wood that's soft and very fragile. No, it's real bamboo wooden pegs. And then of course the traditional looking Minuki and Ryu or dragon. Further, what is which we say 21st century, the Fuji and koshirea, and of course the square tsuba, 4x4 square tsuba. I go back to the Fuji koshirea. The Fuji koshirea is silver polished on my request because that's what I like, and I really love the looks of it. But the Fuji koshirea are non-traditional. This one is a replica of a ninja toe from Shokusuke, or the Fuji koshirea is a replica from the swords from Shokusuke, which he uses all in movies. All in his movies, he has the Fuji koshirea in black. So where you can see why it's in Shokusuke styles, except it's actually about this, the koshirea, because this is really pretty long for a koshirea, because even if you had a handachi style, it's not that long, it's about here. So but this is really a pretty long koshirea if you compare it with others. Let me see if I can grab another sword. Be back in a second. Okay, well, not back in a second, but back in a few. There it is. Okay, here I am again. As you can see, this is an handachi koshirea, and if you look at the comparison, you can actually see that it's even longer and bigger, wider. And also if you look at the tsuka itself, the tsuka is also a little bit broader. So I'm going to put the samurai sword. So the Fuji and koshirea are actually 21st century replicas of the swords from Shokusuke, and silver polish. Going to the tsuba. Well, as you saw for a moment, it's square. It's a very nice tsuba. It's solid. There's no holes in it. Only for the nakago. Further, no holes, no decorations, just pure black, plain square tsuba. The only thing which I find a little bit sad is that the corners are a bit of to the sharp side, but since Alan keeps his replicas from the show Kosuke swords in a traditional way, as it is in the movies, it just looks like that. I don't really have a complaint about it. I just find it a little bit sharp. It could be rounded off, but it's still a very nice look, because I really love it on a ninja sword. Now I know that an actual real shinobi katana does not have square tsubas, but I just like it. And most of all, it gives a little bit of a nostalgic look, a mysterious look, and hey, it's something what the people know. So if you give a demonstration and if people do not understand that you are doing ninjutsu, then they can see it from the sword, and it gives their idea like, oh, okay, they are doing ninja martial arts, as people say that do not know. But at least the sword gives it away a little bit. And hey, it's not a matter now because we live in the 21st century, so who carries a sword around, huh? So, and then also, okay guys, don't complain about tradition. I know it's not as it should, but I just like it. Further, the saya. The saya is 24 inches long. It's very solid. It's a very strong saya as well. And I can also say that the saya is the first time that I actually had a saya in my hands, which I really love. The reason why, as soon I take the sword out, so as soon as I take the sword out, if you look at the mouth of the saya, or the koguchi ana, you can actually see it is pretty thick walls. I don't think you can see it, but inside the wood is pretty dark, so that also already gives away a little bit. That's made out of very strong wood and pretty heavy wood, and the saya is pretty heavy. It is heavier than a normal standard saya, and what I also like is that how it's finished, how it looks. It is really nicely done, very nicely done, well done. But the only thing which I find a little bit awkward is that the edge here, the entrance of the like that, the entrance of the saya, the mouth of it, here and on the other side, it is not rounded off. That does give a little bit of problems, because as soon as you want to do a note and you slide the sword back in its saya, then the habaki will caught on the corners and the edges, on the ridges here, from the saya. So you actually have to search and wiggle with the sword a bit so that it slides in back in its scabbard. How to explain that I will show you now. What I actually mean is that okay, I put the sword back in its saya, so if I put it back, then you have this. See? It cuts and caught on the edge of the blade. Now it goes well, but if I do it again, I actually have to search for it. Now there it goes. Now go back again. See? That's what I meant. Now that's not a real big complaint, and it's also not a very big issue, because that's a problem that you can solve by yourself, by using a little file and round the edges a little bit off, so that the sword can be go back in the saya really easy when you do the note, and not that you have to have the problem that you get caught in the beginning of the mouth piece of the saya, and you can't put it back just in a smooth way, and that you have to wiggle and search for the sword to get it back in. So that's just a small thing that I find a little bit sad that it did not have it already. But by time when you practice with a sword, I think it will have the mouth, the entrance will smoothen a little bit more, and then it might not be a problem either. But yeah, you can do it in two ways. You can say like, okay, I just keep practicing and practicing, and then it goes naturally. That the koshirea will get smoother, so that the sword can go back in really easy. Or you say like, I grab a file and smooth it out in the mouth, and you do it that way. Although, do think about this, don't have the sword saya straight up and that you fall down. No, you have to have it upside down so that the small wood dust falls out and does not go back in the saya, because if you do that, then that will cause scratches on the blade. But further, the saya is really amazing and I love it. Only one thing though, I will show it right now, is that when you have it upside down, it holds, but a good tuck, it falls out. It should not do that. So you can do that soft, but with a good movement, then it falls out. So that's unfortunate. But you can't do that really soft, nothing is happening. But if it has some force, then it is a problem. And also, it rattles a little bit. So if you go this way, you don't hear much. But if I go the other way, then you hear a rattle. So that's also something which is a little bit of a concern if you go stealth, because if you move a lot and you just move the wrong way, then the sword will rattle. But further, it's a very solid, good construction saya, so it's well made, nicely done and nicely finished. Now we go to the blade. And here's the blade. The blade is really beautiful. The blade is made out of 1060 carbon steel, and it's hand forged and mirror polished. It is 22 inches long, so it has the traditional blade length, and the tsuka, by the way, is 12 inches long. The interesting thing about this blade is this. When I show you the blade like that, as you can see, it is nicely mirror polished. You can actually see that the camera is reflecting on the blade, but there's something missing. Maybe some of you might know, and some people that do not know don't see it, but that's the funny thing about it. It isn't there. And what is missing on the whole blade is the hamon. The hamon is missing. I have asked Ellen why that is, and why there's no hamon on the blade. He said, like, well, because the sword has a silver koshirea on it, it looks a little bit weird with silver koshirea and then a hamon on it. But he also said, like, because it does not have a hamon, it has an authentic look. Well, that's granted. It does have a very authentic look on the blade, since it doesn't have a hamon. But I just have a little bit of a mixed feeling about that it does not have an hamon, because in my opinion, a Japanese sword or a Japanese style sword should have a hamon on the blade. Maybe barely visible or just visible. Now for me, it is not a very big issue, because I do like it as it is, the blade without a hamon. But I do honestly say I do prefer a hamon. But with this sword, it's not a very big deal. The next thing which I also asked Ellen is this. Look at the kisaki. A beautiful, beautiful kisaki. Some of you know it as the chisel point kisaki, but the actual name is kumasu kisaki. In my opinion, this style of kisaki should be on every ninja sword, because in my opinion, I find that the kumasu kisaki actually suits very well for ninja swords, because some traditional sword styles in Japan do not stab that fast. They cut only with the kisaki or the that section with the blade, and the rest are mostly used as a blocking section for that part. But in my opinion, I actually find that the kumasu kisaki suits the ninja shinobi katana very well, because from what I do notice that in this shinobi kenjutsu or ninpo kenjutsu, they do stab a lot. Stab a lot in the body, and since it does have a secondary point at the kisaki, it does have a lot of benefit with cutting. And I also find that I did some stabbing with it as well. It makes the stabbing a little bit easier also. So I do understand why the kumasu kisaki is with some sword styles pretty popular. But I'm not going to talk about complete traditional weaponry. I'm talking about a mixed sword about the 21st century and traditional. And that's what a sword is all about. It's a mix of the 21st century, this time, and a traditional style. So this is my sword, and I really love the sword. I really love it a lot. I have trained with it, and it's very well balanced. I like it a lot. And there's another thing which I find a bit interesting, is that if you look at the tsuka, the koshirea gives it away a bit, is that it's really oval shaped. With a lot of tsukas, normally the sections here on the sides gets a little bit broad and makes it natural to hold. But this is really flat. It's a flat oval shaped tsuka, and you can actually see that also on the sides here as well, but it's very nice to hold that way. Oh, sorry, I have to hold it with right. So I might be cursed or not, but it's very nice to hold it that way, and it still feels very, very natural to hold the sword. It's not really that I find it weird or so. It's a very nicely way of holding the sword, especially since the tsuka has a curve. It's still nice. So no, I don't really have a complaint about the tsuka either. Oh, that was my phone. Someone knocked on the door. Yeah, what do I say about this sword? Well, the only thing what I can say is that Alan did a very good job on this blade and on the sword in general, because the saya is good, the tsuka is good, the blade is good, everything is just, in my opinion, it's great. If I need to give stars for it, and then stars from 1 to 10, I would definitely say a 9. Why a 9? The reason is, although this is a very great sword, it's very well balanced, it's sharp, it's a good cutting sword, and it has a very nice finish overall. But because there are just a few things, which I say with the saya and with the sword back, because it does count a little bit, that could have been done better. And just, it's not just something which I say it is a very big issue, but it's not that the customer, if you want to buy a good sword, that the customer still has to do a little bit to make the sword better. It should be good already as soon as you receive it. But definitely a 9 for this sword. The price is right. The price is really good. You cannot get a better sword for that price that I pay for. For this sword, completely customized, with the things that I want on it, I just paid $400 plus shipping. The shipping cost to the Netherlands, yes, I live in the Netherlands, are $40. So that's not high, that's rather low. So it is really a good price for this sword, especially to know it's custom made. Because I have been searching for a long time for someone that did custom swords, or do custom swords, to make the sword that I want. But many of them do custom swords, but the only thing that you can customize is actually just the look, and not really the kind of blade that you want, or the length of the blade, the length of the tsuka, or the koshirea that you want, and so on and so on. Now you have standard size blades, you have standard length tsukas, you have standard koshirea that you can choose from. But with Alan, you can actually choose pretty much everything that you want. For example, if you want to have a 14-inch tsuka on the sword, then you can have a 14-inch tsuka. Or if you want to have a 60-inch one, you can have it. Do you want a 30-inch blade, then you can have a 30-inch blade. Do you want to have a Damascus steel blade, you can have that one. Do you want to have, well, just say something crazy, if you want to have a pink Ito on the tsuka for the ladies, then probably that might be possible. You know, with Alan you have a lot of options. For example, the Komatsu Kisaki, that's a good example of that. I have not seen anyone yet, except for Alan, I have not seen anyone yet that did an actual Komatsu Kisaki. Really, none. Alan is the first one that I actually saw who did a Komatsu Kisaki, who could make that one on my request. He did it. if I ask someone else, there's always problems. They cannot do that, or it's too difficult, or they make it insane expensive. Well, that's something which I say, why? Because I thought you're a swordsmith, but most of the time the Chinese people that does custom swords, or stores that does custom swords, most of them have swords on standard lengths in their inventory, and the only thing what they do, they put them together with the parts and things that you want, and they do not actually custom make or hand forge them. No, they have the stuff already in their stock, they have them already in their inventory, and Alan actually make them. He really makes them. For me, when I received this sword, it took 6 months before I received it. 5 or 6 months. He was really making it. He really took his time. And that's what I say, now that's a real custom sword, what you see here. This is all really custom made. None of them, none of the koshirea are stock. That blade is not stock. The saya is not stock. No, it has all been handmade. So what I say, this is real. It's not inventory stocked parts and put them together. No, it's real. So really guys, if you are looking for a custom sword, go to Alan's Blade. His name and his Facebook is under the description. Look at the description and search for Alan's Blades. He's really the man that you need to look for. If you want to have a nice custom ninja toe, a straight one or a curved one, you can ask him. Actually, a particular kind of samurai sword in mind, I'm pretty sure that Alan can do that as well. You can really ask him what does things cost, what he can do. You can really ask him a lot of stuff, and he's very willing to answer your questions, and he makes sure the things that he makes sure that the customer is happy. And I can tell you guys, I'm very happy, because that sword what you see there, believe it or not, but that sword I always had in my dreams. I had it always for years in my mind, and Alan is the person that made my dream sword come true. That sword what you see here is now an actual sword that came alive for real from my dreams. This is my dream sword, this is what I wanted, and now I actually have it. I can touch it, I can feel it, I have it in my hands. It's there suddenly, and to me it's really a little bit awkward to know that I have my dream sword now. But Alan, thank you man, this is really my dream sword came true. So this is a review that I promised to Alan. And guys, really, if you are looking for a sword, go to Alan's Blades, because you won't regret it. You will be a very happy customer, trust me. And another thing, just to say for the guys that really love this one and want it, sorry guys, you can't, because this is exclusively made just for me and my dojo. Only my students can buy it, and myself. So anything that looks like this, Alan won't accept it. And most of all, like I also mentioned before, if you do try to buy this one, and say you're a student of mine, Alan will contact me and ask me if it is true. I can say no, and really you won't get it. So just to prevent disappointment, this particular kind you cannot order, but all the rest you can definitely do order. So I really do suggest you to go to Alan's Blade and order a sword from him, because you really won't regret it. Especially for the Shokosuki fans there, go to him, because the sword that you want from Shokosuki, he has them. Now I'll give you another last look. Here's my beautiful Shinobi Katana blade. The 4x4" tsuka, tsuba, solar black, and the nice looking tsuka. Okay guys, I hope you liked the review. This was my first time, so I might have talked a little bit too long, but I still hope you like it, and I hope you find it informative. And yeah, I will say thank you for watching, and see you next time. Bye bye.